We apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning of our meeting. Our audio was not working during the mission statement and the pledge. Our audio resumed during public comment on agenda items. We will join our meeting now.
Hopefully we are back.
I think
Audio
we're back.
is on. I think Ms. Flores, you're about to speak. So thank you for waiting.
Ms. Flores, if you could just turn the microphone on. Oh, here. Yeah.
Is it on?
Yes, it's on.
Good.
Yep.
Am I good? Hi, good evening. Melser Flores from 787 Kinderkamak. I'm here tonight in reference to agenda section B, numbers 1 through 3, the dual usage rooms 137, 346, 242 in Cherry Hill. I wanted to ask who would these dual usage classrooms be affecting? Is it going to be the special needs students again, ELA? Will the parents have the right to know their children in this dual usage classroom? Is the administration going to notify the parents of the students who will be in these dual usage rooms? I wanted to also ask, I was listening to dual usage for previous month for Roosevelt. Will there be any dual usage rooms in upcoming year for Roosevelt, and which ones?
So this is public comment time. So if you have a comment on those 3 items, you can make a comment about those. I'm not sure if we won't be answering those questions, but you can make a comment about your.
Okay. If I guess since I don't know the answer to the questions I was asking, if it is going to be the special needs students and the ELA, I think that it should be reconsidered. My son had a very bad experience being in a dual usage classroom, very negative learning experience, and I don't think it's an appropriate atmosphere for children with an IEP to learn it. And that's it. I guess I will come back up and ask those questions after. Thank you.
Seeing that there's no other comments in person or on Zoom, we will move on to special discussion item B, Region 5 updates on accomplishments from this past year and goals for 2022 and 2023. Tonight we have Ms. Bernardo here, who is the coordinator for Region 5. And just to introduce you, because I know Region 5 is not as well known. Region 5 is a consortium of 10 different school districts, River Edge being one of them, and we serve as the LEA, meaning that we as the board and our superintendent and our VA and Ms. Bernardo work together to make sure that we provide shared services to those 10 member districts along with transportation. And so Ms. Bernardo is here to share with us a little bit about the accomplishments and then the goals going forward. I will move my seat so I can see your presentation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kang, and the members of the Board of Education, Ms. Donahue, Ms. Napolitano, and members of the River Edge community. You're in a very unique position here in River Edge. In Bergen County, New Jersey, there are 6 regions for special education and South Bergen Jointure Commission. And River Edge hosts Region 5, which is one of the 3 active regions. The other 2 active regions are Region 2, which is hosted by Pascack Valley Regional School District, and Region 3, which is hosted by Northern Valley Regional School District. I just want to highlight the quote on the bottom of the first page. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. By Helen Keller. I just want to share. Mrs. Kang did a great job of sharing an overview. I'll just share a little bit more because I didn't expect everyone to know a great deal about Region 5 and what we do. Ms. Donahue, if you can advance. We're just going to cover today, and I will try and be as brief as possible, an overview what our purpose is, our member districts, some things we do for non-member districts, our accomplishments during the 21-22 school year, and our goals for the 22-23 school year. Region 5, the purpose, and again, Ms. Kang, you did such a great job with this. The purpose of Region 5, Council for Special Education, is to develop and share services and programs and establish a cooperative network of resources for special education. All of our small districts in Bergen County and even throughout New Jersey have very limited resources. But when we work together and put all of our resources together, we're able to do greater things on behalf of our children. Region 5 serves as the coordinated transportation services agency for all of our member districts. Each member district enters into a transportation services agreement, a related services, evaluation, nursing services, and other support services agreement. Some districts also get their non-public services. And all of these agreements they enter into with Region 5 so that we can collectively bid and share services and resources on behalf of all of these districts. Our member districts are Bergenfield, Cresskill, there's 10 of them, Dumont, Maywood, Oradell, Riverdale, River Edge, Teaneck, and Ridgefield, Teaneck, and Tenafly. Again, I highlight, individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean. Together, we can do so much more than we can on our own. We do provide services to many, many non-member districts. Services that we provide to non-member districts provide us with a little revenue to help offset our costs. We do this only when we could provide services without having any impact on our member districts. And we're able to provide some of those non-member districts with direct services, evaluations, and transportation as well. And sometimes providing non-members with services helps to offset the costs to some of our member districts. And if you've heard anything about transportation, the costs are rising exorbitantly. So the more we're able to work together with other districts, the better it is for our members and maybe even some non-members. I'm going to talk now about the accomplishments for 21-22. 21-22 was my first year with Region 5 after spending 10 years as a director of special services. It was a year of rebuilding for Region 5. We spent a lot of time building the brand, communicating with people, getting people to trust us, and showing them our identity. A lot of time was spent on that. Accomplishments. I'm going to talk about our accomplishments in several different areas. The first being communication. When I first arrived here, we had a website. It was at region5.org. I get a call from Luann one day and she said, "Do you know your website is gone?" It disappeared. So we now have a new website. The link is up there. It's on the River Edge Schools page, all the way to the right, that beautiful page that River Edge now has. All the way to the right, there's a link for Region 5. You're welcome to check it out. Our email, we used to have our own at region5.org. We're now at riveredgeschools.org. We want to be uniform with River Edge. We meet regularly with the district administration to determine needs, with the member district administration to determine needs and progress towards meeting those needs. The other thing we do, which is very helpful, is have regular meetings with the River Edge business office, including the superintendent and the business administrator. So there can be cohesion between Region 5 and the River Edge business office and the superintendent. Accomplishments with consultants and agencies. We spent this year reviewing all of the requisite paperwork for all of the consultants. We have around 80 consultants that we have working for us that are out in our 10-member districts and non-member districts. We have reviewed all their paperwork to make sure they have appropriate credentials. We're continually onboarding additional consultants to fill open positions. I'm sure you've also heard it's very difficult to get therapists, speech therapists, OTs, PTs, teachers. It's very difficult. There's shortages everywhere. You go to a restaurant, there are shortages in staff. Anywhere you go, it's the same thing in education. So we're working diligently to constantly onboard. Something else we needed to do. Something else we needed to do is ensure that the consultants working for us had the correct it's fine, we can move on to that. You can go on. Okay. Direct services. All of our requests are now paperless. We complete an RFQ process, request for quote for direct services, nursing. We increased our number of agencies for nursing. This was very important, from 4 to 8, in order to fill member districts' nursing requests. There were children when I got here who had to sit at home. There is also a nursing shortage. And we had to increase the number of agencies we had for nursing so that we could get more nurses in the pool and get kids who needed one-to-one nurses into school with nurses. So it was important that we do that. We're helping to fill substitute nursing positions in district. Transportation, we're having more and more bid openings. We've had opportunities on the county and the state level to meet with stakeholders to talk about the increased cost in transportation and talk about some much needed transportation. We've developed an entry-level driver training course, which we hope to start very soon, to address a new law that all school bus drivers have to go to a driver training course prior to getting a school bus driver's license. We provide, and I'll just gloss over this really quickly, services to non-public schools. And really quickly, these are some of the accomplishments this year, providing IDEA services, 193. I won't spend too much time boring you with what those things are. We provide non-public nursing services to non-public schools. Right here in River Edge, you have St. Peter's and RYNJ. They get funding from the state for some services, and it's the responsibility of the school district in that town to make sure they're getting services with those funds. Professional development. We have an extensive parent training model that we have implemented. We spent a year planning, and as of June 1st, we have implemented it. All of our member districts are entitled to it. And it is a great model where parents go to a 2-day workshop, and then they can access home parent training hours. We provide crisis de-escalation and restraint training for teachers in the region. We've provided computer training, and we're also part of an interregional professional development where all the regions, all the 6 regions in Bergen County get together and come up with ideas for professional development and offer it to all teachers, child study team members throughout Bergen County. We evaluate staffing needs. We work collaboratively again with the business office. We survey the superintendents and directors of special services to guide our planning for the future. We survey the consultants to also guide planning for the future. Our goals for next year is to continue to evaluate our staffing needs and include any needs for additional staffing in the budget for the following year. Continue to fill requests that come to us for direct service providers, nurses, evaluators, and transportation to the best of our ability. Continue to search for additional providers. Provide comprehensive opportunities for professional development for member district special education staff and non-member districts if appropriate. We have a new transportation management system. Our old system was not web-based, so we're planning on fully implementing that new system over the next couple of months. We have a rate committee to ensure that we're charging competitive rates so that we can attract people. So we'll continue to meet with them. We will revisit our bylaws with the Superintendent's Council to make sure that they meet the needs of our member districts. We're going to research online invoicing programs so that our consultants can submit their invoices online. And we will continue, as always, to revisit ways to reduce costs to member districts, including the potential for additional member districts. Do you want me to take questions? I don't know how you board.
Any questions from board members? Or comments?
So, any school districts interested in joining
There are people that have reached out. What I need to work on this year is I think there's a lack of understanding. I think there's people that believe as non-members that they are members. So I have to work on educating people about what it means to be a member versus what it means to be a non-member. And I'm starting that process. So people do reach out, and I have to continue to educate them about what a member is versus a non-member. And we're starting to differentiate more the difference between what a member gets and what a non-member gets.
And also, I haven't heard whether we collect all the balance from member district who partied from us.
Yeah, oh, so that was on there. I kind of skipped over it quickly. We have at this point, the balance from the member, yes. A very small portion has not been collected, but other than that, we have.
That's good.
Yes.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say, since joining, thank you very much. I've heard nothing but positive things about the response time and how you're meeting the needs of everyone who the community that reaches out. Nothing but good things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think to piggyback off of that, as the president, I end up signing a lot of the transportation contracts, looking over the bills, looking at the contractors the consultants that we have for the following year, and just the amount of work I know that you and your office has put into really just organizing and building up Region 5 again, especially coming out of a pandemic, change of leadership. I think it's just been such positive change, and I know that not all board members get to see that part. So I just want to point that out and thank you for your hard work, because I know that it's just been tremendous, and it's so many positive changes. And I think if I think back to this past year on transportation alone, and how crucial Region 5 has been in helping our district, but also the other member districts, in getting buses for our students so they can go to school. And then even just I know there was like a paraprofessional fair that you had organized.
I forgot that piece.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hiring is hard right
Yes,
now, and
yes.
finding the right people is hard. So I know back in May, I believe you had organized like a fair for all the people to come to one place to interview with the district.
Yes, we had
right?
a paraprofessional job fair at
Yeah.
Region 5, and all of our member districts were invited to attend. And people did wind up hiring paraprofessionals from that job fair.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
You, yay.
You do deserve.
Yes, you do. You deserve a standing ovation, I think. But, can you talk about that Cresskill had a real crisis this
Yes.
year, and districts and regions, helped in varying degrees. Can you just highlight what Region 5 did to help support Cresskill? Maybe mention what happened
Mhm,
there.
mhm. So again, I want to mention the River Edge Board again and Kathy Donahue and Luann, because without their support, what we did during the Cresskill crisis would not have been possible. Cresskill, and I believe it was early September, we had an incredible storm in which Cresskill has never had a flood like they had. Many of you, I'm sure, heard it on the news, but their high school flooded to the point that the only thing that, to my understanding, that was salvageable was their gymnasium. They had to very quickly try and find another location to house. It's their junior senior high school, so 7 to 12. They're 7 to 12th grade students. Coming off of COVID, virtual was not really going to be much of an option because people wanted their children back in school. So we reached out to them and said, listen, we have the mechanism to help you get the transportation. And we put out a bid for all of their transportation. And essentially, between working with school districts that had buses, and transportation companies, we were able to get them 12 school buses to transport their middle school, high school kids back and forth to Chow Day is the building in Northvale they wound up using. Listen, it wasn't an ideal situation for anyone, but it was all the partners throughout Bergen County, not just Region 5, that wound up working together. And that's what you would hope in a time of crisis that other districts would do for any of us. So thank you for bringing that up, Shelley.
Yeah, I know that the Cresskill board recognizes your contribution, Region 5's contribution, your contribution to doing that, because not every district was as forthcoming with assistance, or every region was not as forthcoming with assistance. So they very much are aware.
I kind of forgot about that nightmare because it wasn't just wasn't just getting them the buses. They don't have an emergency. They have to rethink everything at that point. Dismissal, drop off, things that we all take for granted. So we were there to help them think about, River Edge doesn't have 12 buses pulling up every day. So how do you deal with 12 buses pulling up and parents pulling up? So we help them rethink all of that.
So good news, they're reopening in September.
Thank you for the good news.
Yeah, good news. They're reopening in September.
Thank you.
Not every part of the building will be open, but they are reopening for classrooms
Thank you.
in September.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Bernardo, for sharing this with us. Moving back to our seats. All right, moving on to superintendent report.
Yes, I also just want to publicly recognize Lisa and Region 5. I had no idea coming in as superintendent, how lucky I was to have this unbelievable resource that's called Region 5 and Lisa. Lisa has been such a support to me as someone coming in as a new superintendent. She provided us with some resources in situations where we had kids with needs that we would never have been able to meet if we didn't have the services of Region 5. So Lisa, thank you. I really value you immensely. I know that many community members heard my address to the town regarding the board's desire to support the town with field upgrades. As a school district, we value the role that extracurricular activities play in the lives of children. And our children are fortunate to live in a town with exceptional schools and exceptional recreational programs. Wanted to give an update on where we are in terms of our buildings and grounds department and some of the things that I alluded to in my video. I wanted to go into some more detail here. Our buildings and grounds department recognizes there are improvements needed to our grounds. To this end, we have obtained 4 quotes from landscaping companies. We are evaluating those quotes and looking at what can be done in-house and what we can outsource out. There will be some landscaping tasks that we can begin in this year's budget, and then there will be items that we will have to budget for in our 23-24 school budget. I will be working with Ms. Napolitano and our Buildings and Grounds Department on creating a multi-year improvement plan for our landscaping, which will include our fields, seasonal plantings, and really creating an exterior that speaks to the exceptionality of what goes on in the interior of our schools. So I will be bringing that discussion to facilities and finance, and we will work on continuing that in committee. The Alpha Best contract is on the agenda for tonight. After the board approves that tonight, registration can begin. On our website, there's an Alpha Best tab on the top menu when you can find all the registration links. There will also be an open house for families tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the Cherry Hill School Multipurpose Room. Families can bring their children, learn about the program. You can register for the open house live at that time, but of course you can register anytime online using that Alpha Best tab on the website. Alpha Best is still also hiring, so if any community members are interested, they can use the link on our website for hiring information. High school students will be considered as helpers. On the agenda tonight is the board's approval of the application to the County Office of Education for dual use rooms. I know there have been some questions about that in the past, and I know there was a public comment earlier in the agenda. So I wanted to provide some details as to what that really means and what that process is so that we understand. So I do have some things to project. So Shelley, and you're gonna get some exercise. Yeah. Okay. So when looking at our dual use rooms, and actually backtrack, I'm looking at all of our instruction and what is needed to provide instruction for all of our programs throughout the day in a building, given the fact that we know in River Edge space is at a premium. We've got resource room, instruction there is every day. We have instrumental music that's on a rotating schedule. We have our English language learners, that instruction is every day. We have our create or enrichment program that's also on a rotating schedule. So what the principals were able to do is they put instrumental music and create in the same room, but they are never there at the same time. So when instrumental music program is at Cherry Hill, the create teacher is at Roosevelt and vice versa, right? Our English language learner program is loud. They are learning English. They talk all the time. And because our English language learners are young, a lot of that is song and dance and plays and very animated. They're very loud classrooms. So we need to take that into effect. So the first step in the process is the principals evaluate the space and they organize their buildings and their schedules. That's the first thing that happens in this process. In step 2, the principals let the business administrator know which rooms will need an application for a dual use. So the principals produce drawings and sketches of the room, so they look something like that. Well, that is an example. They look exactly like that. That is one of them. The third step in the process is the business administrator fills out an application for the dual use and gives the application and the drawing to the board. So that's what's on the agenda tonight, the application and the drawing. So the board passes a resolution, which will happen tonight, that gives the district the authority to submit that application for a dual use room. That's what's happening tonight. This is what it looks like live right now. You'll see nothing is filled out because it has not been submitted to the county office. All the board is doing is giving the district the authority to submit it to the county tonight. The next step is Ms. Napolitano will submit the application and drawings to the county office next week. She will have to include the resolution from tonight's meeting showing that the board approved the district submitting the application. The next step is that the county office actually comes to visit, and they do this in every school district that submits a dual use, which is pretty much most school districts in the county, I think. Stephen Burke, the county business administrator, Brett Bersano, the county supervisor of special services, plan a site visit to observe the rooms. When they do, the rooms must be set up to mimic exactly what it will look like during instruction. So that happens. After that happens, they either approve or deny the district's application. If they deny it, and I will say that happened in a previous district that I was in, but they will work with you on remediating and problem solving so that a room can be approved for dual use. So there are certain things like a phone needs to be in both sides. There needs to be like fire, like there are certain things that need to be. So the way that we had it set up when they came to visit in my prior district, we didn't exactly have that. They helped us reconfigure the room and then approved it for dual use. So I just wanted to just clarify what that means for dual use. I'm going to be a little opportunistic for a minute in my superintendent's report because I do have some community members here, both here and online. And so I'm going to just give, if that's okay with the board, a little pitch for REEF while I have maybe some audience members who I haven't seen here in the past. The River Edge Education Foundation, or REEF, has been in existence for a very long time in River Edge. It is defunct right now. The person who was running it no longer has children even in high school anymore, and he's been holding on to it in the hopes that somebody would come and raise their hand and say they would carry it on. An Ed Foundation is an advocacy group for the public schools. Successful school foundations realize that their most effective role and benefits derive from goals beyond more than fundraising. The Education Foundation can be a valuable tool in a school district's communication efforts, and it builds bridges between schools and the public, especially groups who are not parents with children in school. So it's really different than a PTO in that it really is something that can be the benefit of the town. When our schools are strong, our town thrives. And so we also need to remember, those of us who are intimately involved with schools, that the school is really part of the community, and it's more than just the people that come to it every day. Successful ed foundations can build relationships by creating speakers bureaus, develop relationships with local business, award scholarships to former students, welcome new families to the community. They can help with recruitment, retention, recognition of quality staff members, and they can support professional development programs as well. It's a 501(c)(3) charitable organization. In the past, they've supported classroom grants, the brick pavers that are both of our schools with the dedication names on it, that was REEF. It's also a place for in-kind donations. Right now, if somebody were to want to donate something to the school, it's not as easy. If there's a 501(c)(3)(b), like our bank wanted to make a sizable donation to us a couple years ago, and they were able to use REEF as a place to put that money and to donate. It is different from the PTO, and there really is room for both. Fundraises, the REEF would fundraise for different purposes. It would really be connected to district goals. It's an advocacy for the school system as a whole. There are definitely ideas that other towns have done in terms of fundraising for an ed foundation. And I'm going to post this on our website. But there are some really successful ed foundations in New Jersey that if people were curious to see how some function, you can look up theirs. There also is, there's a couple links here, New Jersey School Boards, Best Practices in Education Foundations. And so my plea to the public, for those watching at home, or maybe some people who haven't been to a board meeting recently, I just wanted to make a small plug for REEF. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Donahue. Any questions or comments from board members? I have two questions, one about Reef, one about the dual use rooms.
Yes,
So the dual use rooms, you said once tonight we're approving to submit the application
yes.
and we put down what the use of it is for this upcoming year.
Yes.
If something changes, do we resubmit that and they have to come back and
Yes.
reevaluate? So we can't just make a change mid-year. We have to follow it and then we have to have someone come and check it again.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Which I think we did last
Yes.
year when we made some
Yeah.
changes.
And I do want to, I'm sorry, I forgot my last note that I did want to just say that the dual use rooms are as follows. There are 2 rooms in Cherry Hill that will be used for small group instruction resource room. They are not in the room at the same time. Denise has done, Ms. Hyman has done her best. They do overlap sometimes, but they're full-size classrooms and they are divided. There is also at both Cherry Hill and Roosevelt, we're calling them the intervention centers, and they're to be used for the WIN period. Here, these dividers will set up some instructional areas where that will take place. And so this will be, one use for that. This is for the WIN program. So every child that comes in here is in the same grade level and they have targeted skills. So this is not replacement. This is, really mimics what goes on in the Jedi classroom. So don't forget that our classrooms are set up to be very small group based, right? So I have no concerns with this. In Roosevelt, we're trying a bit of a different model. We're kind of piloting 2 models to try and see what works best for instruction in our new Vision of Intervention Center. Those teachers will be co-teaching. And so those children will come to WIN, but there are 2 teachers in the classroom at the same time, but they are co-teaching that group together. If that makes sense. Any questions? Yes.
I don't have my mic.
Mhm.
Thank you. So on the agenda, there are 3 rooms listed, but they're all listed as Cherry Hill.
That's right. Because the
Roosevelt room is co-teaching.
co-teaching. That's right. The Roosevelt room is co-teaching.
Okay, thank you.
Helpers, are those helpers paid?
Yes.
And then for Reef, I guess, because I'm not so familiar with it as a parent, like who would be a good person to volunteer? Is it, for Reef? Is it any community
Community member, and it really does not have to be a parent. It would be great if it was somebody who was, didn't have a strong connection to the school, because that's really broadening what the mission is. I think somebody in the chat said, are you looking for, I think there's some questions in the chat that I will definitely get to, but I think somebody's asking, are we looking for new leadership? Yes. And who to contact with that would be me. So please reach out to me and I can help make that happen.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be a parent.
Does
It
not
could
have to be a
just
parent.
Community member.
Any community member
Okay.
that would like to get involved, to do something to strengthen not only our school, but our town.
Thank you. Okay, so since it's the summer, we don't have a principal's report, so we'll move on to board secretary report.
Thank you. The New Jersey School Boards Association is contacting board members and the community to urge everyone to express your concerns to the legislature regarding the projected premium increase for the school health benefits program for 2023. The final premium rates for this plan year starting January 1st, because it runs from January 1st to the end of the year, have not been made public. There are reports that the increases will be as much as 15.6%. The information I received today from the state says the increase is going to be between 12 and 20%, depending on the plan. So this is much more than we were indicated that we should budget for, because each year we get a proposal from our insurance company and we do our budget that way. So this is probably double what we budgeted. Increases to the state health benefits would largely be paid by the boards of education, because many employees enrolled in it to pay a percentage of their salary and not a percentage of their insurance premiums, which was the changes implemented under the Chapter 44
agreement. NJSBA has voiced concerns about the potential financial impact of Chapter 44 and has urged a re-examination because of the negative consequences of this law, which will raise costs for many districts. The health insurance premium increases being considered would force many districts to reduce or remove programs and services for the students, and that's the biggest concern of all. So school boards is urging the public to reach out to the governor's office and your local legislatures to inform them of this. If you need any information regarding contact, please contact me and I will give you the information. I'll forward it, but it is on the school board's website also. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the NJDOE released the 2022 Taxpayers Guide to Education Spending. This was just released. It demonstrates the commitment of providing members of the public with clear and transparent report of local budgeting. This is from Dr. Angelica Allen McMillan, our Acting Commissioner of Education. This guide can be a helpful first step in discussions that residents have with their local school officials about school spending needs. For the 21-22 school year, the average budgetary cost per pupil was $18,208. This represents the state average for districts that serve schools in preschool through grade 12, charter schools, vocational schools, special districts. The budgetary cost per pupil calculation excludes costs that aren't directly related to the district, such as transportation or payments on the school construction debt and tuition for out of district. 21-22 increase of about 8.2% for districts. River Edge is at 16,088, which you see is below the average, which means that we are spending our money wisely. We're trying to spend our money to educate our students and yet keep our costs to the taxpayers in a reasonable manner. It also breaks out the total cost per spending, the admin costs, and different indicators. Item D7 on the agenda, there is a motion regarding the boiler bid for Roosevelt and Cherry Hill schools. The bids were so high, we went out to bid twice. They were much higher than the anticipated amount budgeted. And this will allow us to now meet and authorize us to negotiate a contract for the project. The original cost anticipated through the architects, which we budgeted in our regular budget, was 1.2 million. And the bids are both well above that, over $1.6 million for each one. We will negotiate and come to a conclusion of which boilers we can do if we have to break the project up and or try to do the combination. But that's what the vote is this evening on the agenda.
Any questions from board members? So we budgeted 1.2 million for both boilers,
Correct.
but for both, it's costing 1.6 above.
It's close to
1.6.
2 million
Okay.
for both because of, as everyone knows, the increased costs of labor, of getting supplies, of various things that go on, and being able to finish this project in a timely manner. So we've actually had to go through the process of going out to bid twice, using a 10-day bid window each time. So we really thought we'd have time to get this project done, and we're really running out of time right now.
And so this allows us to negotiate the price
Correct. We can,
with the companies.
with the companies and or another vendor, if that's
Okay.
what we choose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the president's report, just have one thing to share that our board retreat, as I mentioned before, is September 17th. I did reach out to Matt Lee to see if he can attend to help facilitate our board self-evaluation and do work on our board goals. I haven't heard from him yet, so I'll let you know. If we can't get him, we'll get somebody else from NJSBA to attend. We'll meet here in the project room the morning of, but I will be sending out an email soon asking board members to complete the board self-evaluation. And that's it. Any questions? Okay. Committees. Finance and Facilities met on July 13th, I believe.
So finance and facilities met on, I'm sorry. Finance and facilities met on July 13th. It was a brief meeting to discuss the fields and Mrs. Danahy actually shared the outcome of that meeting, because at that meeting, we said we would check the costs with landscape companies. We reviewed the things the board was expecting to provide. And also we discussed the interlocal agreement and moving forward with the mayor and council regarding that. And that was the extent of the meeting. That was the only item on that meeting's agenda was the fields. And so we have another meeting coming up in August. I don't know if we've established a date for that meeting.
We haven't yet.
Not yet,
No,
okay.
not yet.
But there'll
We're
be a
working on it.
meeting in August, and the primary agenda item for that is safety update. Any questions from board members?
We're also going to have, I think, curriculum and instruction in sometime in August, so,
And
did-
personnel and management
and
too.
personnel management
Yeah,
too.
mhm.
So please reply to the emails on your availability. I know August is a little difficult to meet somewhere. But I think it's important that we all try to find a time that we can meet for those committees. Okay. We'll move on to motions to be acted upon. Can I get a motion for A1?
Oh, wait, can I report on Bergen County School Board
Oh.
Association?
Sure.
The executive committee met last night at 5 PM to unfortunately appoint a new president for the Bergen County School Board Association. Michael Jacobs of Ridgefield was appointed to that position. He's a very energetic person, a lot of new ideas, and we started planning our first meetings of the year. The first one, you guys get the hot off the press. We're going to be talking about inflation at our September meeting and how it's been impacting, obviously, us with the boilers, but a bunch of other districts in all sorts of ways, and especially as we get to budget season, how it could impact other things as well. So that's the first topic. School security will be the topic in November, and then we'll kind of go from there. But just wanted to report on that because we had a committee meeting, executive committee meeting yesterday.
The first meeting is September 29th.
Okay.
That we happen to have,
Yeah, all the
all
meetings
the meetings are in the
the fifth
fifth
week.
week of the month, so it didn't interfere with anyone's board meetings.
It's like September 29th, November 30th. I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
And do you know if it's hybrid again, or is
It
it all,
is.
it's hybrid again?
They
It's
will,
gonna, yeah, the first two are gonna be hybrid, and then the two winter meetings are gonna be completely virtual.
Okay,
And then the last one will be, I would assume, hybrid as well
Yeah.
with the dinner.
but what they're hoping in terms of hybrid meetings is that people from other parts of the state, having a hybrid meeting allows people from all over the state to attend county meetings in other counties. And they are hoping to have a more in-person presence at the meetings. So I believe both of those meetings will be at the Hohokus Inn, right? Both, as far as we know, those first
oh,
two.
you switched from
think so.
Tenafly
Isn't that,
I thought it was a
The
Clinton,
Clinton.
Clinton.
oh,
in
Clinton.
Tenafly.
What did I say?
Yeah,
Oh,
Clinton.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was like, oh, new venue.
They
know.
they
I don't know.
said the locations are also being impacted by
Right,
inflation.
no,
So
Clinton
okay.
Inn. Yeah,
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 Clinton
don't,
Inn.
yeah, Clinton Inn, sorry, wrong Inn. Yeah, Clinton Inn, and cost for those meetings has become prohibitive in some locations. So, yeah, wrong Inn, sorry, Clinton Inn.
Thank you. All right, motion for A1. Oh,
Start with
we
Caleb.
normally start with Mr. Herb, so I guess we'll start with Mr. Herbs and go this way.
move that the Board of Education approve the minutes and confidential minutes of June 1st, 2022.
Second,
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown?
yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for A2?
To approve, move that the Board of Education approve the minutes and confidential minutes of June 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for A3?
Move that the Board of Education approve the special meeting minutes of July 6th, 2022.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for A4? I'm trying to consolidate, sorry.
Sorry.
4 through 11.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky.
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for B1 through 3?
I'm sorry, did we just do AA through 7? Or
No, 11.
we did A through 11, okay. Move to approve items B1 through 3.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Abstain.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for C1 through 3?
Move to approve C 1 through 3 as stated.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for D1 through 9?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky.
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for E1 through 3?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, I just want to thank Ms. Mealy and Mr. Smith and Ms. Fitzpatrick for their dedication to our district, and we wish them the best in their next chapter of their career. Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for E4? Through 12?
Move to approve items E4 through 12 as stated.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes, just want to say welcome to all our new staff members, and we look forward to seeing them. We'll probably have a new staff member introduction in September. Usually we have one of our board meetings where we invite them. Can I get a motion for E13? Sorry, I'm just trying to, there's a lot on here and I'm trying to combine it as much as we can. Let's do E13 through 26.
Move that the board approve E13 through 26 as stated.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky.
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for F1 through 3?
Move to approve F1 through 3 as stated.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
Ms. Kang.
Yes. Can I get a motion for G1 through six, 7, 8,
Oh,
11.
So moved.
Second.
I lost the
Any
page.
questions?
The last one, the shared service with the Bergen Tech school, the school bus. I read the agreement, and what they are saying is that they send you we can borrow the bus, and when we return it, make it better than before. So I'm not quite sure whether there's mention about the sharing the profit also. Are you anticipating the program will be profitable, so we don't have to spend our own money out of our pocket to maintain the buses and?
She doesn't have a microphone, but I'll answer that question since I was involved in it. Unless you want to speak, you're welcome to speak also, Lisa. So this was a shared service agreement with Bergen County and ourselves. Our attorney reviewed it, their attorneys reviewed it, they passed it at their board meeting. So that was the agreement made that we would share on the services. Will it be profitable this time? Perhaps not, but we assume that moving forward, it will be, as long as it gets some feet. There's some, a lot of interest from other districts. So we're just rolling this out, and then we'll see where it goes from there. We've gotten a lot of, at least I know, got quite a few calls, in fact, today, of other districts that wanted to participate. So we just wanted to get one session under our belt so that they could start this summer.
I'm kind of wicked guy, so if I'm in a position of such, then I'll send about the breaking down the bus, and then you have to fix it. I'm not able to fix it, so your obligation to fix it. So while you're using it,
Recording me? They must have watched.
no, just making
If I
sure.
can ask everyone to
We
mute their
make
mics.
this agreement with a good faith.
Yes, and it is their bus, and they are aware of that their upkeep of the bus and the liability has been also taken care of, as you see in the agreement, that it would be on the school districts regarding
Okay.
anything that happened. Did I still leave anything out?
And the agreement is for 1 year, right? So if anything changes or we find that it is not favorable, then we can not renew it for next year, I guess. All right.
I know I can't speak.
You can if you want
You
to.
can step up and use the microphone. Okay, okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Dansky,
Yes.
Mr. Herbst,
Yes.
Mr. Sim,
Yes.
and Ms. Kang.
Yes. I apologize. In the middle of putting all of our agenda together. I did want to mention and thank our Roosevelt PTO, item D6, that Roosevelt PTO has donated the purchase of a projector and a screen system for the school. And I know Ms. Hastings and Ms. Davies was here from the Roosevelt PTO. So thank you for all your hard work and fundraising all year and then giving it back to the students in that way. I know it'll be a really helpful thing to have, especially for whenever there's indoor recess or assemblies or for the school. So thank you for all of your work. And I thank you for all the families that support our PTOs. We really can't do what we do in our schools without the support of our families and our PTO. So thank you so much. Okay, if there's any old or new business that the board wishes to bring up.
I just wanted to say that I did hear from some parents that they did get progress reports from summer enrichment, which was really good to hear. And it was informative and supportive, and I think it's just moving in a great direction. So thank you to everyone who made sure that happened this summer.
Any other old or new business?
Can I bring something up on, so this recording, right now I'm recording it via Zoom. Our last board meeting, we didn't do Zoom and we just did a recording. So this will be posted. And then if the board could just look at both options, to consider what you want to do come September, we could do that. Can I also just say that I was remiss in my report by not thanking my summer enrichment staff immensely for all of the hard work that they put in. It was a really successful program. Our extended year program is ending this week. That's also an extremely successful and well-run program. And I am so grateful to all of their hard work.
I know we haven't really discussed Zoom recording in-person meeting. So right now we have Zoom, you're recording it, you'll post it on YouTube. And tonight we in the past, we've had Michael come and do the Zoom for us. Moving forward, are we still having him on, or what are we looking to not have him here, or?
That's right. So my small mistake with the audio, which I was able to fix. We really don't need him here. I can handle it, myself. Either option I can do without assistance.
And then I think moving forward, we will continue to have our board meetings here just because of the setup.
Yes. We will have every board meeting here. We won't go back and forth. This will be the board meeting. I think when we, looked at our safety and security and all things, we looked at a lot of different things. I think this is the location that we felt.
And space-wise.
Was best.
Here. Okay, if there's no other board business there's no new or old business that the board wishes to discuss, we'll move on to public discussion. So at this time, we will open up the second public discussion portion of our meeting. So if you have a comment, please raise your digital hand if you're online, or if you're in person, you can raise your hand here. And then when it's your turn to speak, please turn on your camera if you're online. If you're here, you can step up to the podium and just remember to turn on your microphone. And you will have 3 minutes to state your comment. And in order to respect everyone's time and also to hear from all voices, we ask the attendee to speak once before we give them a second turn, and large groups are urged to have one person speak to represent them. If you have any specific concerns about your child, please follow the chain of commands. First, your child's teacher, then school principal, and then if it hasn't been resolved, you can reach out to our superintendent. We do ask that we are all respectful and professional here. And so at this time, I open up to the public. Yes. If you can just state your full name and your address for our minutes.
And turn on the microphone.
Can you the green light on?
Great, thank you. Good evening, Vince A. Sicari, 724 Elm Avenue, River Edge, New Jersey. I want to start by saying I heard Ms. Bernardo speak at the beginning and how districts work together to accomplish things. And I couldn't agree more, which is why that prompted me to ask all of you, and I don't know what happened for 20 years, and I know many of you weren't here, but apparently there's been an issue in this town that dates decades with regards to River Edge girls softball. So what I'm asking is that you follow what happens in District 5 and please work together, whether it be with the mayor and council, Regal, Recreation, DPW, Shade Tree, and most importantly, the people sitting here and the people on Zoom. We're very invested in a lot of things that have happened recently, and I'm sure you're aware. I'm not sure if you were able to see the drawings that the engineer presented at the mayor and council meeting. Phenomenal. You have to see what they're willing to do to this park. Remove trees, move courts, move fields, move everything else. It would be amazing to see what they could do to Roosevelt, which already has a field, which would probably include minimum intrusion. And I'm not here to say that that's the only solution, because it's not, because I still believe we have 2 boys fields at Memorial Park, and equity and equality should have 1 boys field and 1 girls field, but that's my opinion. Many of us saw the video that you did, and I thank you for that, Superintendent. That's very important that you're communicating with us and we know where you stand. However, we understand, and I could be wrong, that there's still a gap between what's being requested by several of these organizations that I mentioned and what you're willing to give. And I'm just asking what steps are going to be taken to fill that gap. And I'm not sure you have an answer for that today. And I know that there's going to be a group meeting, but I would ask that respectfully, you continue to make those videos and keep us in the loop and keep us informed, because many of us were in the dark and all we ask for is cooperation. We all want to be a part of this and we think there is a solution for the common good. So I thank you for my time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, Melissa Flores, 787 Kinnick. Ms. Downing, I just want to say thank you for the dual usage presentation you just showed and for answering some of the questions I had asked earlier. I did wanted to come up and just genuinely and truly express my concerns about the dual usage, as well as what you just mentioned, the co-coaching. I know that these are solutions for the major problem that we have with the zero space issue in both of our schools. I know that, I understand that, but you know, it affects our most vulnerable students. Okay, is that better? Okay. It's affecting our most vulnerable children, which are for the most part, the ELA and our special needs children that require a least restrictive environment. And the thing is, when they get pulled from these classes, it's supposed to be 10 kids max, period. It's not meant to be co-coaching along with somebody else or the dual usage where you can hear the other classrooms. And so I was just coming up here to urge parents that have students with their kids with IEP to get involved, to find out if they're going to be in these dual usage, to find out if they're going to be co-coaching, and to see if those are the best learning conditions for them to learn and grow in our schools. That's it.
I just want to
Thank you.
clarify that the co-teaching is for general education students.
Okay.
That's for the win period for our intervention. Those are not classified students.
And so there's no dual usage for Roosevelt?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I saw your hand up earlier. I'm actually gonna have everyone who's in person and then we'll do Zoom after. Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure. Yes, it is. My name is Frank Osier, 242 Webb Avenue. And you asked that we not repeat everything that somebody else may have said, so I'll try to go along with that. So I just want to echo what Vince had just said a few minutes ago about the girls softball here in town. He did mention that there was a gap with some of the interests of the girls and your opening position, superintendent. I just want to name two of those that are of concern. One is the snack stand. Okay, I think that's something that the girls have been asking for a long time, to have equity along with the boys. And the other thing that jumped out at us well is the 90-day clause to back out of the agreement. We would hope that we would be open for like a year minimum for that, because it would take that long for the girls to find alternative fields if in fact the school system decided to back out. So we would like you to consider that in your negotiations with the town. Superintendent, I think you have a pulse of the town sentiment towards this. I just encourage the rest of the board to read the tea leaves. There's real sentiment about this particular topic. And I think it would be at the board's peril not to read into that, what the town is looking for and what the town needs. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just want to make sure everybody understands where we are now. So since I put that communication out, I've heard from the mayor once, but I haven't heard from anybody else. So I'm not sure what people want at this point. So I just want to say that my door is open to REC, Regal, the council. I don't really even know who I need to talk to. So I think those people need to come to me I am around all of August. I think I'm not going to be in the office 2 days. So you don't even need an appointment. Someone can just show up and in August and I'll make time for them. My door really is always open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have?
Is there anyone else that's present here that would like to speak before I go on Zoom? So I will move on to our Zoom participants. I see Lauren has her hand raised on Zoom. Lauren, if you can just turn on your camera and unmute your mic and state your full name and address for minutes.
Hey, Lauren Default, 159 Greenway Terrace. I just had a quick question. 1 second. In regard to space issue that had been going on and the reference or the potential plan that was put off, it seems, for this year for the kindergarten move. The house that's for sale right next to the park, or sorry, the Roosevelt Field. My question in regard to that, we see that's for sale. This is the second time a house has been for sale right next to the school itself. What is the likelihood? Because I felt like I saw that house go up and I know there had been a previous house. Is that really something that could actually never happen? Is the school district actually ever prepared with those, the funds that we have? I think it's like honestly around the same amount of the house. I know obviously you guys couldn't take the full amount out, but in honesty, I guess, what's the likelihood of you guys actually ever expanding the grounds of the school? Is that something you can legally do so that when a house went up for sale, you could actually take action on it? Does that make sense?
Maybe perhaps Ms. Napolitano, could you just explain a little bit more about what something like that would entail in terms of, because I know it's different for us as a school district to purchase like a house versus if you are
right.
just
And
a
that's it. I guess,
resident
yeah, my point is more not what it entails now, right? That house is for sale. I'm sure it's already in contract, but more it's come up before. Is that something that will just, I guess, Mr. Napolitano, a yes or no answer? Is it really just never going to happen? It's not something that's feasible. This is all that we have. Or is that something that if the district actually said, let's get prepared, if we knocked on doors, and it's unfortunate, this is actually right next to the school, something that actually could happen. And I realize it couldn't be used for a big classroom, but in, the issues that we have about the smaller spaces for, like ELA groups and stuff like that, or ESL, sorry, but using those spaces in that kind of structure.
Sure. I'll address some of the points. It's not that it could never be done. Other districts have been able to do that. Some 1 or 2 neighboring districts I know of. You have to have money in your capital reserve account to spend the money for it. So you'd have to be able to afford it, right? We have like $1.2 million, a little bit more in our budget, in our capital reserve, which is the money that you would use. But that's going to possibly be used for our boilers. So we could decide to expend all our funds to buy possibly a house, but then you deplete all your capital reserve money. And we don't really have an alternate way of funding. Sometimes the municipalities get involved when you want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you take like a muni loan kind of thing? Can like the school district create a municipal loan, or like
Not really. You could fund a bond. We could
that's
go out to
sorry,
vote
that's what I'm saying.
for a bond.
Not a loan, a bond. A
You
muni
could
bond. Totally.
You would have to bring the public together. You'd have to do a vote. So the thing that against the school side is timing, right? So in a real estate market, it's hard to put up a referendum, have the public come out and vote. I mean, this is all a time consuming thing. The house may be gone by then. Other things to consider are you probably would have to knock down the house or make a lot of accommodations. They have to be ADA compliant. There's so many things that you have to do to be in compliance with a house. You couldn't just buy it and then use it for school space, and everything would have to be approved. I've actually been involved in another district in buying a parochial school that was empty. And I can't tell you that it took probably 4 years before we were able to open the door. That was in
Right.
purchasing it from the archdiocese and then making all the upgrades that were necessary to be able to put students in it. So is it impossible? No, but these are some of the stumbling blocks that we would have in trying to get this done.
So who would take that initiative to do something, to start something like that? Because that makes sense. Of course, it would take years. So it's something that would really have to be available. Yeah, like that would have to happen, right? Like that house is gone. But
that's one of the issues that you have. So like in another district, there was a house that was close to the property of the school. And then they were able to purchase it and knock it down and rebuild. But they did that over a few years, and it was a house that nobody really wanted to buy. But in River Edge, you really don't have homes like that in areas where people don't want to buy and move in. So, like I said, it's not impossible, but it's a little bit harder to achieve, I think.
right. I get, yeah. And well, just also knowing that River Edge is always such a tight space, right? We're never going to be in the circumstances where there's an empty building, right?
Sorry,
It's just too
Ms.
small of a town.
Our time is up, so thank you for your questions and comments. We'll move on to Mr. Munoz on Zoom. If you can just turn on your camera and state your full name and address for a minute.
Sure. I don't know why my camera doesn't want to turn on. Huh.
Okay.
Anyway, my name is Rene Munoz. I live at 215 Webb Avenue, and I just had one final thought on the ball fields. I am trying to start my video. Apologies. It just won't start. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna turn back off. Anyway, I just wanted to address the potential next future meetings. The mayor sent a message to me via one of the other members here this evening saying that there will be a follow-up meeting in September that will be attended by all of the stakeholders, including the resident and obviously this board. So I just wanted to mention that and that is forthcoming in the next month or so. That's it.
Thank you. If there's no one else that would like to speak at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So.
Jinx.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Brown? Yes. Ms. Dansky?
Yes.
Mr. Herb?
Yes.
Mr. Sim?
Yes.
And Ms. Kang?
Yes. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us on Zoom. Have a great summer. We'll see you in September.